Hello and welcome to the week ahead. Oh man, where do we begin with this market? So I called this the Buns market because this week I was driving around some middle schoolers and I heard them referring to something as being buns. And I thought, oh, buns, that must be something that's good. And buns is not something that's good. Buns is what they say when something is bad. And when they say buns, they're referring to somebody's rear end. And so you'll say things like, oh man, that thing is buns. And I thought, oh, I love buns. They're so good. Anyway, this is a buns market for sure. But I feel like I have, some news that I think is pretty good. So yes, the market is doing this. It's doing what, we all have kind of thought might happen, but it's not completely collapsing. It's doing a rounding top. We don't really know if it goes deep, how much deeper it's going to go. It's technically going deeper. Like technically the low of Friday was lower than the low of Tuesday, period. Like that's just a fact. It's not a flush though. It's not a panic flush. And so what do you do with that? Like, what are you supposed to take from this? Like, maybe it's just going to be a gradual move down for a monthly higher low. Like, I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. The thing that I had been watching on the ES on Friday, if you go to the 12-hour time frame, you see I drew this fib retracement from the low of Tuesday to the high of Wednesday, and I wanted to see how much were we going to retrace, because on Thursday here when we dipped, I thought that might be a 12-hour higher low, but then we printed an inside bar, and then on Friday we actually went lower, so we got a 12-hour lower low, just barely, more like a double bottom with the little bounce we had into the end of the day. NQ, slightly different. We actually got and held a 12-hour higher low, so definitely showing some relative strength here in the NQs. But what are we supposed to do with this market? Like, just it's just no fun in here. Like, this is not a place that you're going to be making money trading as a swing trader, period. Like, intraday trader, maybe you get your volatility up, your volatility down. We have moves up, moves back down again. We're basically range bound in this big box, as I talked about last weekend. And so what are we supposed to take from that? Like, if you're a range bound trader, you're probably loving life right now. That's not me though. I'm not a range bound trader. I'm basically a swing trader at this point. And so this is no good to me. I want to find stocks that are trending. And are there trending stocks in this market? Yes, there are. There's quite a few of them. And so I've been working on a system to find and curate this list of stocks that are trending. So this week I'm going to go over the list that I've currently got, just show you what I'm seeing across all the different things. It's quite a big list. I may end up slicing this video up a little bit as I cycle through things, but I'm going to go as quick as I can. So the list here is on the right, and if you pause the video, you can see every single thing that's on the list right now. And I was in the process of going through this and just double checking everything this morning, and I thought this is really a good summary of the market as I see it right now. So what I'm going to do instead is just go through really quickly. So first of all, we have what I call EREPs. I should preface this by saying that every single thing that I track is put into a group or a theme. And so you'll see for each of the stocks that I'm trending, they're within a group. And when I'm looking to find a stock to trend that I want to trade, I want to find one that's in a group where everything is doing well, so that they have the wind at their back. And as soon as there start to be problems in that theme, as soon as I start to see some of the symbols not working and starting to roll over, that's telling me that there's a problem with the group and that I should stop looking for trending stocks in that group. And I have an example of that this week. Okay, so starting off with EREP. So what this means is that these are earnings episodic pivots. So gap ups on earnings that had immediate follow through. So that's just if you spot that happening in the market, you want to try to glom on to any stocks that are doing that. So the first one that I saw that did this was Fastly. Huge gap up on earnings and has been running ever since. Technically, I think it's a 12-hour EMA 12 rider. Yeah, it is. And you'll notice that I have a special indicator for things that are trending or quote unquote riding stocks, where I identify the time frames that they're riding, then I give them a different treatment. So that's what this one is here with the hard label. And it's got a sort of a red zone underneath, which I give it a bit of wiggle room, and then a green zone above where that's my alert area. So when it's getting into that spot, I want to focus in on the stock and try to see if I can get an entry. Now this is a 12-hour rider, and this one actually has a higher high here and then a lower high in RSI, so that's a bearish divergence, and so that tells me that this thing is getting weaker as it's going up. So I think the run might be over for the short term, and this 12-hour rider is probably going to break. And at that point, I want to see, does it come in and hold the daily? Like what's going to happen? Is all of this balance that it got in here going to hold it for a move higher or what? I don't know. But I think that the 12-hour might be done for now, and it might be coming in a bit deeper. So a little bit of a red flag there. Circle was another one, huge earnings gap up. This is an IPO stock, and they typically find a bottom and then never see that bottom again. And there's a lot of theory that bottom might be in right now, but it's already made a huge move off that bottom. If you measure from the bottom to where we are, it's 100% move off the bottom in whatever it was, like 30 days or something like that. How many trading days? Let's just see to get to where we were on Friday. That was 20 bars, 20 trading days. 100% move. Crazy. So this one, I'm looking for a higher low to get in on this one, but it was on the 4 hour time frame, but with everything that happened on Friday, I'm not too sure that I want to be jumping into, these types of stocks right now. Anyway, worth noting, that's the first little section. The next one, which has been crazy strong, is tech software, IGV on the daily time frame. I think I might have been talking about this already, but it was a rider down, and now it burst out of that. It did set a little dinky daily higher low and has been like so strong on this rally up out of here that I have it set as a daily rider just because I want to see when it comes back in, does it hold the daily again? And that would be a really good place to get long these names. The other you see here is I've got a 4-hour rider, and here's what that looks like. So here you can see the daily one below and the 4-hour that it's currently on. And so yeah, you can see it's been holding this 4-hour again and again and again, just super, super strong. Finally starting to get some red candles here where it's currently topping out. So I think we're going to be turning over soon, but even on Friday with the weakness in the market, this was still holding up and strong. And so what I did is I went through it after I saw that IGV was rallying. I looked at what are all of the other major holdings in the IGV ETF, and I found a bunch that are looking really good. So here is FIG. This one, I think it's been consolidating a little bit here. This is another IPO name, and I'm thinking this might have found a bottom as well. And so it had this nice move up, consolidation, nice move up, consolidation. Now it's tightening up. I think this might be a 12-hour tightening range. Yeah, it looks like it. So high, low, lower, high, higher, low. If this keeps tightening up, we're going to see which way it breaks, but it looks really good. I think this one looks great. 4-hour. Yeah, and then Netflix obviously had this huge rally out of the lows. I traded this. I got this on the weekly stair-step break, and I sold it into the gap up that night, which basically was somewhere up right around where price is right now. I just sold it as soon as it gapped up on that news that they were out of that Warner Brothers deal. So great trade there. PLTR, another one that's been rallying up, but this one actually is coming into. It's had a big enough fall that it's rejecting the 200-day simple moving average on Friday. I actually shorted this for a little intraday action on Friday off the top here. Right towards the end of the day, and I'm not holding on to that over the weekend because tech software is just too strong right now, and PLTR has the added bonus of being an AI stock, which has been beaten down, and it's basically a stock that the government uses for their military type stuff. So I figured that this might have actual legs to keep going up. I'm not getting long this one right now, but I do think that it is looking quite strong, even though it's got a bunch of resistance it's got to deal with, and on the monthly time frame. It is bouncing, and it bounced right off this monthly higher high here, which is kind of a beauty look, but this was a really big retracement. I think most likely scenario is a tightening range of anything, but anyway, I digress. We're talking about riders here. So we'll skip over to now. One day. So this one I put on the list just because, again, look at the strength in this name. Like Friday was a bearish day in the market. Look at what it did. This is a crazy move on Friday. Like just straight up rockets right into the 50-day simple moving average there, coming into weekly EMA 12. It's got a gap fill it's currently in. This is insane strength. TRI, I had never even really looked at this before, but this is another one super strong, already set a daily higher low against the daily EMA 12. So this is a daily EMA 12 rider. It filled this gap from before. I think that wasn't an earnings gap down, it was before earnings. Anyway, super strong. So tech software is top of my list. I'm looking for these to catch some higher lows next week. They're going to be top watch. Rare earth metals, they're seeing a turnaround. If you look at the underlying names on these, they're not riding any particular EMAs yet, but looking like there might be a turnaround here. And this one is a weekly EMA 12 rider, so that one I'm watching. So energy has been seeing a bit of a top, and actually if we look at XLE, still a daily rider. Look at this thing, just strength. The only reason it's not on my list is because it's extended from the 50-day, which I explained last week. That's one of my factors for if I'm going to be continuing to buy a rider, and so this is too extended to buy. But look at the strength, like it hit a peak, came down, lower high, holding in there. Now I know people were saying oil's running like crazy, why aren't the energy stocks running with it? Well, look how much they've run already. Oil wasn't running while they were doing this, so this is totally fair to me that they're going to consolidate while oil's taking the lead and running. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not a predictor of what's going to happen, but it is still riding daily EMA 12. XOM has been holding on. It's been choppy up here, so I'm not in a rush to try it. Alcoa it's been crazy choppy in volatility. But if you look at this, it is looking like a broadening formation, which I've talked about many times as these are pretty good traders. A little bit of a broadening formation. Maybe it comes down, but it has been holding this weekly EMA 12 over and over and over again. Undercut this daily higher low on Friday and rallied out of that again. This thing just is relentless. It's a little choppy, but as long as it keeps holding that weekly EMA 12, I'm still interested. Oxy, looking strong. Nice consolidation in here. I bet you it's a nice 12-hour tightening range. Yes, it is, and that is over a daily EMA 12 rider. So looking great on Oxy. SO Southern. I think this is a utility name. Utility names actually looking pretty good overall because, the backdrop of what's going on in the market, people flock to safety things like utilities. This one's holding daily EMA 12, but kind of choppy in here. And then we get into tech optics. So if you remember, I traded GLW back somewhere over here on this run, and I didn't catch the tippity top of the move. And now look at it roll over. Light did the same thing, completely collapsed here into the end of the week last week. Meanwhile, AAOI had this earnings and a huge gap up and crazy run on earnings. And then on Friday, this was the craziest action I think I've seen in a long time. It had many days of tightening range here, and then on Friday it rallied hard out of that. Some of my traders I know traded this, did really, really well, and then some other traders I know were seeing how extended it was. By the way, look how extended it was when it was at the tippity top here. At the top, it was 7.5 ATRs from the 50-day simple moving average. That's pretty extended. And given what was happening in the market, given that the group was rolling over at the same time that this was flying high, and I don't know. I don't blame the people who shorted it up here for shorting it. I feel bad that it didn't have the follow through for the traders that were going long, but it's extended. It kind of makes sense what happened in the end. So bummer that it didn't work out for my good trading buddies, but some other traders I know did really well, so good for them. Okay, so that is tech optics, starting to see some cracks. Let's see, aerospace. This is pretty extended, and obviously you can know why it's been running because we've got war news and all that kind of stuff. RTX, I traded this and got out of it. I can't remember exactly where I traded this. Oh yeah, on the gap up, I got out of it. And I was looking for it to be a broadening formation and come back in and test the weekly, but look, it held here right at the daily EMA 26, which is a weird spot, and rallied again. I think that's purely because of the war news happening right now. Okay, metals. I just had this one HBM. It looks like it's kind of rolling over. I think metals in general, let's have a look at GC. Gold holding on. Look at this gold holding on. Silver holding on in balance. Anyway, HBM was looking good, but kind of cut pretty deep here on the weekly test. But you can see what I was looking for was for this to come up and hold. I wanted the weekly EMA 12 to do this. I wanted this to come back in here, hold it, and then for this range to continue to hold. But instead, we're getting a breakdown of the range. So this is probably going to come off my list when I do finish my reviews. MU and SNDK. MU, weekly rider, coming in. SNDK, 4-day rider coming in. This does not look great. So I'm probably not in a rush to trade these. I definitely want them to find a bottom, and then I'll probably catch a smaller time frame moving average rider as it starts to curl back up. I kind of want to see how far these things can cut. But typically after you lose a daily 12-hour, 4-hour trend like that, the first place I'm going to be looking for support is the weekly EMA 12. So we're going to see. We're going to see in the coming week what happens at the weekly EMA 12, and are these guys able to hold on? Because MU, for example, has been a really good holder of this moving average. So we got to see what happens. Wheat, bonkers move for wheat. And I got shaken out of this trade. I got in somewhere over here. I sold a portion up here. Started to come back in, and I thought, that's just a full rejection. This thing isn't going to hold. Held this low by basically nothing, and then rallied up out of it hard. And so I got shaken out. Some of my trading buddies did not, and kudos to them for having a better conviction than I do. Okay, solar names, TAN, weekly, looked like we were going to get a good bounce here, but it came back in. ENPH also looked like it was going to have a really good bounce. This was a 4-hour falling wedge into the weekly EMA 12 after this huge move up out of this rounding bottom consolidation. I was looking for this weekly to hold and then bounce. Tried to play it Friday, couldn't get it to work. So probably going to give up on solar for the time being, just to wait for this to sort of shake out. They did have two names, FSLR and Run, had earnings was it last week or the week before, that were terrible, and they dumped the entire ETF. So that's probably why this is eating it so hard right now. Then we have industrials, XLI. What's that doing? Pulling back into the weekly EMA 12. It was kind of a holder back here, and you can see it got a bit of a bounce off the weekly EMA 12. So next week I'm going to be watching these again to see, do they hold? Because they got some really good names in here. GEV with a nice big pullback. Would love to see this catch a bottom and continue to keep going. We'll see what happens. CAT pulled back right to the 4-day, which has been holding, looking pretty good. Again, it needs XLI cooperation. I want to see the group do well for these to catch bottoms and continue to ride. LMT, this has got news behind it, Lockheed Martin. And so holding on to this daily EMA 12 rider, right cutting near the bottom, but it's done that before and then held on for the go. So I'm going to keep watching that one. Last but not least, I have emerging markets on here. It did get the bounce off the weekly EMA 12. I tried to play this on Friday, but it was tough. It was really tough trader. And you can see it was rolling over here in the after hours, but nice big move. I tried to catch a higher low somewhere in here for the continued move up, and then it just got choppy. I ended up, I think I got out somewhere over here towards the end of the day and became a nothing trade. Because I wanted this weekly to hold and really get a good bounce out of it, especially with this sort of falling wedgish kind of pattern. But instead, what we got is what looks more like a bouncy ball kind of pattern, which is a breakdown pattern. So we'll see. Emerging markets had that crazy run, in case you don't know, in case you're not familiar, had this crazy move up, huge consolidation back. I wanted to see this hold and push higher, or maybe tightening range for higher. But yeah, don't know. This is a bit of a wild card one for me. And that's it. That's what I'm watching right now. Now, there may be other stocks. I have not gone and reviewed the charts. I have scanners that I use to find these riders. And then I'm working on a system. So what I'm showing you is a bit of a glimpse into a system that I've built for a community of traders to manage riders that they're watching. And this is just the early prototype of it. It's not fully live yet. But the idea here is that anybody can add a rider that they're watching on here and the time frames that it's riding. And then we can sort of collaborate on what's happening with the rider. We can come in and talk about what's going on with it, and what we're thinking, or we can see who's watching it, who's added it to their watch list. And then you can generate a watch list. So you basically can download the watch list and import it into TradingView, and then you can copy all of the time frames that are being watched across all the symbols, paste it into my indicator, and then add an alert on the watch list so that anytime any of the stocks that you're watching comes into a zone where you're interested, it alerts you in TradingView. So that's a system that I've been working on for a little bit, and probably going to be releasing this at some point here in the near future once we get it fully polished. But this is something that I'm super excited about. This is not a venture to make money by building the system. The system is purely a tool for like-minded traders who are swing traders and want to identify stocks that are trending and ride them together, for us to have a place where we can manage all of that and make it work together. So this is sort of a passion project for me, and I'm super excited to bring it to you guys as soon as it's ready. And I really hope that we can find a bunch of traders that want to come in and take part in this community and contribute and help to let us all prosper in the markets. Even in times when things are super choppy and crazy, there are riders in every market. And so yeah, that's what we're looking for. We're trying to find the good riders and get involved and ride them, because the trend is your friend. Okay, that's it for me. I hope you guys have a wonderful week and happy trading. Hey, if you like my indicators on TradingView and you like the content I'm producing here on this channel, please remember to like and subscribe.